Good morning, fellow nonprofiteers, and welcome to another episode of What's Good Wednesday. This is our chance to take a break in the middle of the week, stop and celebrate the good news from around the nonprofit world this week. As always, I'm your host, Jamie Dingler. I'm the owner of What's Good LLC, a nonprofit marketing and fundraising consulting firm based on the beautiful Eastern Shore of Maryland. I'm also the author of This Guy, the itty bitty book of nonprofit fundraising tips for board members from a development director who hates asking people for money. Before we get started, we've got a big old show for you today. So before we get started, if you have good news to share at your nonprofit organization, please send it my way at wednesday@bewhatsgood.com. We also have a segment of the show, which I call the topic of the week. If you have a question or a topic that you would like addressed, go ahead and send it to this address as well, wednesday@bewhatsgood.com. And of course, where can you find out more about me? Where can you access episodes of the show or learn more about my book, get some other advice? That would be always at bewhatsgood.com. You can also watch the show on Facebook and YouTube. The handle there is, you guessed it, Be What's Good. And you can find me on LinkedIn at What's Good LLC, or look under my name, Jamie Dingler. So I don't want to delay any further. We've got tons of show for you today, starting off with some local news from my neck of the woods. I was thrilled to be a participant at the one of 3 annual meetings of Women Who Care Talbot County this past Monday. And this organization, it's based off of, I don't know if you have this where you are, but it's based off of the Power of 100. It's a collective giving organization. The goal is to get 100 people to come to meetings 3 times a year. You have 3 nonprofits present at each meeting, and then the collective votes to decide who gets $100 from each member. Well, in Talbot County, Maryland, the Power of 100 went out the window a while ago, and they are up to 177 members, which means that the winning organization from their meetings gets $17,700 in one night. It's such an incredible thing. It's so amazing to be a part of. And on top of that, they have applied for a grant from an organization called the Schultz Foundation. And the Schultz Foundation generally, hopefully this will continue, gives an additional $5,000 to the winning organization. I hate to call it the winning organization because all of these organizations truly win. They get to present their ideas to philanthropic women from across the local community. They often, even if they don't get the vote, they often end up with additional donations and volunteers for their organization. It is a win-win-win-win-win-win-win. So it's such an amazing thing to be a part of. This meeting kicked off with an update from actually my friends at Critchlow Atkins Children's Centers. They were the last awardee to be funded, and they gave an update on where their funding went, which was to expand a yoga program at their child care centers. Originally, it had been available at 2 sites. They have 5 sites throughout Talbot County, and because of the funding that they received from Women Who Care, now their program, the yoga program, is at all 5 sites. So they started off with an update, a cute little video, and then they presented hand flowers, so made out of little children hands, handprints, for the founders of the organization, which was well deserved because they do such an incredible job. Then they had the 3 organizations present. The first one was Chesapeake Multicultural Resource Center. Their proposal was they were seeking funding. They have a program for immigrant families to help them put a family safety plan in place. They have a lawyer on staff there who works with these families to help establish the family's immigration status. They help them get all of their documentation in one place. They put a plan together for if something happens to me, what happens to my child or my children. Here's where all of their, they keep a copy in their offices so that if the family loses the plan, they have a copy, they know what's supposed to happen. It's really an incredible program. The funding from our community keeps that 100% free for the families that they serve. So that was what they were asking for money for. Then we got an epic presentation from the Easton Choral Arts Society. Their entire choir, it was probably 50 people, came into the room and surrounded all of the women attending the meeting. Their director got up and started making a speech, and as she started, the piano music started, and the choir started singing behind her. It felt like we were in a pivotal moment in a movie, and it just felt like the president rallying the troops. It was really touching. Brought a tear to everyone's eye, I think, and it was really, really amazing. They're seeking funding to cover the growth of the organization there, and also things have become more expensive. Purchasing scores and things like that have become more expensive, and they're anticipating losing out on some of their grant funding, so they were preemptively hoping to close that gap and be able to expand their programming, or at a minimum not have any interruption to their programming. So it was a wonderful presentation by Easton Choral Arts Society. Finally, we had a presentation by Shore Rivers. Shore Rivers was asking for grant funding to help with their youth education program. They do environmental education for the students in Talbot County Public Schools from 3rd grade through 9th grade. And then on top of that, they have an internship program where kids come into their office and learn professional skills and things like that. So it was really a wonderful evening, all worthy causes. When we took our vote, the winner was Chesapeake Multicultural Resource Center. So they will receive the $100 from each member, plus hopefully another grant from the Schultz Foundation for $5,000. This is such a wonderful organization, and there are a Power of 100 organizations throughout the country, perhaps throughout the world. So I would look for Power of 100 organizations in your community and see how you can become a part of it. It really is unbelievable to see how, I show up 3 times a year. I give $300 a year, but because of the power of the collective, life-changing funding goes to organizations in our community. You are truly making such a huge difference by banding together with other like-minded people in your community. So I highly recommend, if you are not part of a Power of 100 group, go seek one out. It's truly an inspiring experience every time, not just for the organizations that present, that participate, but for every single member of the group. It is really inspirational. So moving on, we've got lots of news from other parts of the country this week. I know sometimes my shows focus a lot on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, but this week we have amazing news from other parts of the country. So let's get started. We're moving to Northern Virginia with Girls on the Run, Northern Virginia. This is an independent council of the Girls on the Run International. Girls on the Run is an out-of-school program for girls in grades 3 through 8. It uses a research-based curriculum to inspire participants to recognize their inner strength, increase their level of physical activity, imagine their possibilities, and confidently stand for themselves and others. They have a huge milestone this year. They are celebrating their 25th anniversary in Northern Virginia, and they are commemorating this milestone in a number of ways. First, they have a podcast called Joyful Journeys, and each episode they're highlighting an individual from every year of their history in Northern Virginia, which I think is such a cool idea. They're showing the people who have really shaped the history of the organization. They're also offering $2,500 post-secondary scholarship opportunities to program alumni. And finally, this year, they are launching Camp Girls on the Run for the first time. This June it starts, and it is what they're saying, it is the best of the Girls on the Run program, but with all the fun of summer camp. So congratulations to Girls on the Run, Northern Virginia. 25 years is incredible. Here's to 25 more and hopefully many more after that. Please send us other great news as it comes up. We want to hear how your girls are doing and how Camp Girls on the Run goes. All right, we're coming back to Maryland, but only as far as Baltimore. In the city of Baltimore, last week, Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott, Baltimore City Recreation and Parks, and federal and state officials broke ground on the Congressman Elijah Cummings Recreation Center, which is going to be located in Southeast Baltimore. The rec center honors the congressman's legacy, serving the young people in Brooklyn Homes and Curtis Bay. And this future rec center is located within walking distance of 3 local schools, which will increase accessibility for after-school programming and more centralized recreation opportunities. There will also be a mixed-use meeting and community space that opens to green space. So they hope that is going to serve as basically a giant front porch that is going to be used for community festivals and other community events. This is part of the city's rec rollout, which is prioritizing youth access to safe, accessible, and state-of-the-art recreational facilities. And this project is set to finish in late 2026, so I hope we'll get an update next year when the project is finished on its opening. So hopefully stay tuned for that. All right, we've got an international organization coming up next, the U.S.-Africa Collaborative. Their mission is to foster cross-collaboration, transformative research, and actionable projects that prioritize human-centered development, sustainability, and equity. They are hosting their 2025 Pan-African City Symposium and Exposition. It is next month, June 23rd through 28th at the University of D.C. in Washington. And this event convenes global leaders, innovators, policymakers, and change makers to drive innovation, sustainability, and equity in housing and human settlements practices, policies, and strategies. The event will feature plenary sessions, panel discussions, workshops in innovation labs. It'll highlight cutting-edge housing sustainability and smart village solutions. It'll foster cross-sector partnerships between governments, private sector, NGOs, and academia, and also provide networking opportunities with influential decision makers. So if I wanted to get this with enough time for people to register, so if you're interested in learning more or registering, head to usafricacollaborative.org, usafricacollaborative.org, and check that out. Sign up for that incredible event. I hope, as always, I put out the invitation to ask for highlights from these events so we can find out how they went and celebrate their success. So I hope we get to hear back from them on how that went. Speaking of successful events, we are moving to the Salvation Army of Harrisburg Capital City region in Pennsylvania. They provide diverse programs including basic needs assistance, self-sufficiency mentoring, workforce development, choice shopping food pantry, a family table nutrition education, youth programs, and emergency disaster services. Their programs focus on meeting the needs of the body, mind, and spirit without discrimination. Last week, they hosted their Celebration of Transformation event. The night started out with a reception where attendees could play football games, and NFL star LaShawn McCoy held a meet and greet for the top sponsors. Then during the program, participants got to hear about Sani and his family, who are refugees rebuilding their lives in Pennsylvania with the help of Salvation Army Harrisburg. They also presented volunteer Lisa Herbert with their highest honor, which is called the Others Award. And the event was capped off with a fireside chat between ABC 27 sports director Ali Baroubi, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, and LaShawn McCoy. When the final tallies were in, I love this part, the event had raised more than $112,000 in support of their mission. So wonderful. I wish I had confetti. Confetti to you, Salvation Army Harrisburg. Congratulations. That's huge. Taking an event over $100,000 is absolutely incredible. And we wish you lots of success and continue to change lives. And we hope you'll share more wonderful stories with us as you continue with your amazing work. So now we're moving on to South Dakota. We're moving to South Dakota to the Avera Health's Avera Foundation. They hosted the day before Mother's Day their 37th annual Avera Race Against Cancer. At this event, they announced their $7 million Building Hope Here fundraising campaign to support an Avera Cancer Institute offering comprehensive cancer services in Yankton, South Dakota. There, they were also able to announce two amazingly generous gifts towards the campaign, and a wonderful lead gift from supporters Larry and Diane Ness, and then the First Dakota National Bank in Yankton also offered an incentivizing $500,000 match towards the campaign. So they will match the next $500,000 raised towards their $7 million goal. Congratulations to Avera. Congratulations to the Yankton community for being able to have this center for comprehensive cancer care. I hope you reach your goal. I hope the center gets built quickly, and I hope we'll get an update when it opens and starts serving the people of Yankton. Amazing. Oh my God, I cannot believe we're almost done. We're on the last celebration of the week. And this one I wanted to save for last because I was so astounded when I was scrolling through my LinkedIn and I saw this pop up and I was like, can I please share this on my show? I want everybody to hear this and celebrate it. So this is, as you can see from the logo, Idaho Gives. It's a statewide giving campaign that started in 2013 by the Idaho Nonprofit Center. Since then, in 2024, the Idaho Nonprofit Center merged with the Idaho Community Foundation. And so now this event is put on by the Idaho Community Foundation. It started off as a one-day event, but now it has expanded into what they are calling a 4-day giving extravaganza. It encourages people to go online, select their favorite organization, or learn about a new one and give to promote strong nonprofits across Idaho. This year's event was held from April 28th through May 1st. You want to hear the results? I'm very excited to share them with you. Over 13,000 people throughout the state of Idaho donated, drumroll please, over $5.1 million to 627 different nonprofit organizations throughout the state of Idaho. Holy smokes. I'm awe-inspired that this state, the community, came together in 4 days, donated $5.1 million to support their nonprofit community. Unbelievable. Idaho Gives says that since 2013, this event has raised more than $33 million for Idaho nonprofits. I couldn't think of a better way to cap off our celebrations this week. Let's all give a huge congratulations to Idaho Gives. I just think this is the most phenomenal thing ever. I'm so happy to be able to share this with you. I hope this puts everybody in just as good a mood as it puts me. I just think it's so incredible. Congratulations to all of our organizations that we have celebrated this week. If you have something amazing that you want to celebrate at your organization, please send it my way. I want to hear it. Send it to Wednesday@bewhatsgood.com. Keep it coming. This show comes around every single week. So make sure that you're sending in your good news as it comes up. If you have an event that you're sharing with me and then the event happens, that's what we want to hear. We want to hear those successes. It doesn't just have to be about events either. If you have a new program that you're launching, if, like Girls on the Run, your organization is having a huge milestone this year, if you have an amazing mission moment that you want to share that's happened to someone that you are serving at your organization, I want to hear it. I want to share it. I want to inspire other organizations. This work is so hard. We deserve to stop for a moment and celebrate and pat ourselves on the back. We work so hard to make the world a better place. You deserve to be celebrated for that. So send in your good news to Wednesday@bewhatsgood.com. All right, we're moving on to our topic of the week, and I was going back and forth until the last minute trying to decide what I wanted this week's topic of the week to be. But something has come up several times in the past week, so I think it was my sign from the universe to bring it up for topic of the week this week. Let's talk a little bit about goal setting. There are a few different aspects of goal setting, really two main aspects that I want to talk about. So first is fundraising goal setting. Please, 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 I'm begging you, do not make your fundraising goal for the year just what your operating budget is. As we see here, it's really important to think ahead to the sustainability of your organization, as we see from things that are going on, with our economy, with, if your organization depends on federal funding. It is so important to be thinking about setting money aside for a rainy day. I know sometimes I work with a lot of small and growing organizations, so I know sometimes organizations, when they raise extra money, they think, oh my gosh, our donors, they don't want to hear that we have money left over. This is not the case, right? It's okay for you to raise extra money. In fact, it's imperative for you to raise extra money. You need to think about, how are we going to sustain our mission past this year? That being said, your operating budget and your fundraising goals have to depend on your strategic planning. And this brings me to point number 2. It is great and amazing and wonderful and important to think about all of the things that you want to do and all of the things that you want to accomplish. Once you're done thinking about that, before you set any plans in stone and before you do your goal setting, your near-term and long-term goal setting, the next thing that you have to do is think about what you have the capacity to do. Just because you want to do a bunch of things doesn't mean your organization, you as a development person, you as an executive director, you as a board, whoever's watching, have the capacity to do those things. And it's okay to say, we'd rather pick one thing and do it really well and improve ourselves on this one thing than try and throw the kitchen sink at it and see what sticks. It's a recipe for failure. It's a recipe for kind of losing your motivation, right? Because if you try too many things, first of all, we're already so overwhelmed as people who work in the nonprofit industry. There's already so much to do. Don't overload yourself with things that you don't have the capacity to do a good job on. Maybe those are things that you set for future goals, right? It's okay to say, oh, I want to do this, 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 and this, but I only really have the time and energy and manpower to focus on the first this fiscal year. If we succeed at the first this, then we can talk about expanding and moving on to this number 2 next fiscal year. So just my little reminder, when you're setting goals, don't forget to give yourself a little grace, to think about yourself, think about your organization, think about your staff. Don't just say, these are the things that we want to do and figure out how to do them, right? These are the things that we want to do. Let's figure out the timeline that we need to do this based on our capacity and do a lot of if-then planning. If we hit this milestone, then we can move on to the next milestone. So that's all I have to say about that. That's our topic of the week for this week. As always, if you've got a topic of the week or again, an amazing celebration or some great news coming out of your organization, as always, send it to Wednesday@BeWhat'sGood.com. And you can find the show, you can find lots more content and information about my business, my clients. You can meet a lot of my clients at BeWhat'sGood.com, learn a little bit more about me. And of course, you can watch the show. You can find more content on Facebook and YouTube. The handle is at BeWhat'sGood. I knew you would get it. and then, as I mentioned earlier, you can find me at LinkedIn, What's Good LLC, or look me up, Jamie Dingler. That's Jay, M as in Mary, E-J, me, Dingler. Also, don't forget to check out my book, The Itty Bitty Book of Nonprofit Fundraising. It is available on Amazon. It does make a really fantastic board gifts. I've spoken with lots of organizations that give this out to their board members as they're having their conversation about what it means to be a fundraising board member, what the board member's role is in terms of fundraising. It has a lot of actionable ideas of how board members can participate in fundraising in your organization in a way that makes sense for them based on their availability, their social comfort, their talents and passions, and things that they're involved in the community. So I hope you'll check that out. We try to keep the costs low, so I'm not making a fortune off of it. I just think it's a useful tool. I'm certainly not retiring off of the proceeds from this book, but I hope you'll check it out anyway. Thank you so much for joining me once again for another What's Good Wednesday. I already can't wait to see what good news we have to share next week, so stay tuned for that. Have a great rest of your week and a great rest of your What's Good Wednesday. See you next time.